Day 6. Let's see what you talking about, Diddy. Sup, though?
Dawn was officially back on the stand this morning, and you know what's crazy? During cross-examination, Diddy's attorney name-dropped celebs, and nobody else reported about it except for one outlet. Like I told you guys, I am looking at Inner City Press's live tweets, but as I said, he doesn't report everything. So I look at everybody that's reporting, from CNN to CBS to AP News to New York Post to New York Times, Washington Post, all of them. For some reason, the New York Post was the only one that mentioned that they came up. But before I get into cross-examination, let's finish with her testimony. Before she came back on the stand, Diddy's attorneys tried to fight the fact that they wanted Dawn's testimony from Friday off the record, and they did not want her testifying. The judge said he'd make a decision on Monday, and as you can see, he decided that she can testify. Remember how her testimony ended on Friday, where she said that Diddy told her and Kalina Harper that people go missing if they talk. At the start of her testimony this morning, she confirmed she took it as a death threat. She also testified that the abuse wasn't a one-time thing, but it happened frequently. She told the jury whenever Cassie would try to speak up for herself, she witnessed Diddy punching, dragging, kicking, and choking her.
Damn!
One time in New York, Diddy allegedly punched Cassie in the face right before they were about to do a gig in Central Park. Because of that, she said Cassie's eye was swollen and she had to wear sunglasses. She also talked about another time in West Hollywood where they were at a restaurant and Diddy punched Cassie in the stomach. He said when they got into the car afterward, Diddy grabbed Cassie by the neck, slapped her on the mouth, and told her to shut the F up. Dawn said the abuse was so normalized that Diddy's security didn't step in. And that's when she said that included Harv Pierre, D-Rock, and Capricorn Clark. If you didn't know, Harv Pierre was the former president of Bad Boy Records. And Dawn alleges that Diddy and Harv Pierre told her and others not to talk about what they saw. She also testified that Harv Pierre told her that Diddy would say it gets dark and lonely if you don't listen. She also testified that she would tell Cassie to leave the relationship and that Cassie would look fearful, but she would also look torn. And when Diddy found out that she was telling Cassie this, he told her to stay the F out of my relationship and then said something bad will happen to you. She said for her own safety, she wouldn't intervene. Now came cross-examination, and the defense definitely tried to poke holes in her credibility. She mentioned multiple times how her story changed, how she brought up stuff during her testimony that she didn't say to the government. For example, the skillet situation, they said that sometimes you said he hit her with the skillet, other times you said he threw eggs at her, and another time you said you heard the skillet hit the wall. Dawn's response was, I'm doing the best I can to remember. This was a long time ago and I tried to block it out. They also grilled her about substances. Dawn had said that Diddy used the thing you do on 420, Molly, K, Snow, that she testified a dealer named One Stop had it all, including Plan B and birth control. But Diddy's attorney pulled up past interviews where she never mentioned Diddy using Snow. Dawn's response was, as more time goes by, she remembers more. They also brought up the fact that after she had left Bad Boy, is it not true that your music wasn't as successful? To which she said yes. And then they asked her, and then you reached out to Diddy to work with him again? She said yes. They're obviously trying to show that she clearly couldn't have been that scared of him if she was willing to go back and work with him. She did say when she spoke to Diddy, she would often speak to him softly and she would call him bro, and she would do these things to keep herself safe. Diddy's attorney then brings up the restaurant incident where she said she saw Diddy punch Cassie in the stomach. Diddy's attorney asked Dawn when she was questioned about the restaurant incident, why didn't she mention who was there? And she brought up the names Usher, Neo, as well as music executive Jimmy Iovine. Diddy's attorney asked, any reason you left these individuals out when the government asked you the question? Why didn't you say their names? Dawn responded saying, I'm not sure. You have to ask yourselves, why did Diddy want their names brought up? Is it because they plan on bringing them in as witnesses to testify that they didn't see anything? But there was also another name that was brought up, which is Lorianne Gibson. If you watched Making the Band, then you remember she was the choreographer on the show, but she was also a huge choreographer at that time. She had filed a lawsuit against Diddy in 2007 because she alleged during this scene, Diddy tried to throw a chair at her. Now, we never actually saw it happen because they got into an argument. Diddy said, turn the cameras off. And when the cameras came back on, she was shouting, leaving the room, saying, I'm not scared of you. The camera would also cut to the men who looked at the situation like, what the hell is going on? Of course, at the time, Diddy denied that ever happened, but who do you believe? Once cross-examination was over, the prosecutors were able to redirect, and that is when Lorianne's name came up. Remember, we had just heard that Dawn had reached out to Diddy to work with him again, and the prosecutor prosecutor asked her, why did you reach out to Mr. Combs? Dawn responded saying, one of the judges on Making the Band, Lorianne Gibson, I wanted to reach out, but then Diddy's attorney said objection. So the prosecutor tried again, saying, how often did you hear from Mr. Combs after you left Diddy Dirty Money? And she said sporadic. They then asked her, why did you reach out? And she said to help Kalina Harper. That is very interesting because Kalina Harper had put out a statement about a year ago when Dawn filed her lawsuit against Diddy. And in that statement, Kalina said that even though Dawn is suing Diddy and she's speaking about her experiences and the things that she saw, it's not a universal experience. In other words, she's trying to say she saw nothing, she knows nothing. For Dawn now to say on the stand that she was trying to help Kalina, I do want to know, what did she mean by that? Now, Lorianne Gibson did come up again during recross because Diddy's attorney asked her, you admit you reached out to Mr. Combs to re-engage. You claim only to have a relationship with Lorianne Gibson, but if you got back together, you'd have to see Mr. Combs more, right? To which she said, yes. And they tried to ask her, you sued Diddy for money, right? And she said, for justice. But the suit asks for money, right? Dawn said, yes, and they said, no further questions. And that was the end of Dawn's testimony. Next on the stand is Cassie's former friend, Carrie Morgan. She's the one that allegedly got hit with a wooden hanger and cut off ties with Cassie. I'll be back later with her testimony. Dawn was officially back on the stand this morning, and you know what's...
Every time Diddy is around people, I feel like people tighten up. People ass cheeks tighten up, no pun intended or pun intended. You know? Every time he's near people, it's just not a good time. Even though he makes it try to seem like it's not a good time. Oh God. Let's go on to the next one.
Carrie Morgan, who is Cassie's former best friend, is on the stand testifying against Diddy. They are on a lunch break, and she'll be back to continue her testimony after lunch. Carrie and Cassie were best friends for over 17 years. She met Cassie on a modeling shoot when they were teenagers, and they lived together in Manhattan and were inseparable until 2018. That is when Carrie said Diddy physically assaulted her, and she ended their friendship for good. When taking the stand, she told the court she did not want to be there. She said, I've moved on from all these people and their problems, and that she was testifying because she was subpoenaed. Kerry said Cassie changed once she got into a relationship with Diddy. She lost her confidence big time, and she lost her spark. In terms of Diddy's jealousy, she said that he would call Cassie over 50 times in a row, screaming at her, criticizing her looks, and questioning who she was talking to. He said Cassie felt like she couldn't leave because he controlled everything from her job to her car to her apartment. She felt like she was trapped. When talking about Cassie doing substances before Diddy, she said that Cassie did not. But she said Diddy often provided substances like X, Molly, and Mary J. She said that Diddy would be doing all of these substances, but that sometimes she and Cassie would do OP8s together. When talking about Diddy's presence, she said that it was dominating and unpredictable. Talking about physical assault, she said the first time she saw him getting physical with Cassie was in a house in Hollywood Hills. She says Diddy and Cassie were arguing in the bedroom while she stood in the foyer. She said she saw Diddy pushing Cassie and possibly punching and kicking her too. She said Cassie did not fight back and that Kerry yelled at Ruben, who was Diddy's security, to do something, and he did not. In fact, she said Ruben refused. Afterwards, her and Cassie ran out of the house and hid behind a neighbor's front steps for 30 minutes as Diddy searched for them. Second major alleged assault that she witnessed was in Jamaica in 2013. Cassie was taking too long in the bathroom and Diddy snapped. She heard gut-wrenching, terrifying screams and then saw Diddy dragging Cassie by the hair down the hallway.
God
She alleged
damn.
she saw Diddy push Cassie to the ground. Cassie hits her head on the brick and collapsed into a loose.
I'm not gonna lie. If I'll be with her. I'm on, what's her name? Kerry? After, like, I don't care how long we've been knowing each other. I don't care how good our relationship is. If I'm trying my best to get you out of that relationship and you not listening, or you don't want to listen, or you saying something like, it's harder, like, it's like harder than what you think, or it's not that simple, or something along the lines of that. If I'm really trying to get you out of this relationship and you don't, or you choose not to, I love you, but I gotta go. Because otherwise, he gonna hurt me. And if he hurt me, oh, baby. Oh, Diddy is done. And his security. Everybody. Just saying. Yeah. Yeah. If I was Kerry, I would have left too. I love you, Cassie, but I just can't. I can't do this. I can't. I can't look. I can't see with my own eyes how he's treating you. I can't do it. But damn.
Fetal position. Kerry said she thought Cassie was unconscious. Cassie later ran barefoot into the woods, and that she and Diddy got on separate golf carts looking for Cassie. She found Cassie and they hid in a ditch for hours. The other incident was the hotel surveillance incident at the Intercontinental Hotel. Said when Cassie came home, she was wearing a hoodie, she had a black eye, and she collapsed on the couch and appeared numb. 30 minutes later, Diddy showed up banging on the door with a hammer trying to get in. Kerry said she was terrified and called Diddy's assistant and security, begging them to stop. Police eventually came and Cassie refused to show her ID and cooperate. She told the court she didn't think Cassie cared if Diddy came in and unalived her. Kerry now talks about her own assault that happened in 2018. Kerry said when Cassie was in the bathroom, Diddy came up on her, choking her, and then he threw a wooden hanger that hit her in the head near her ear. She fled the apartment and texted Diddy's assistant saying he's going crazy and he lost it, but the assistant shrugged it off. Kerry said she considered filing a lawsuit, but about...
At what point does the security step in, or do they never ever step in? Not all money is good money. I lie to you not. His security could probably look at Diddy clucking up somebody to the max or unaliving somebody. Looking at it firsthand and not doing nothing. Like, do you not have any morals? Do you not have no human? How do you say, like, we're all human at the end of the day. We have to feel something. You have, man. Because I promise you, on everything I love, if Diddy security was to do the same thing that he did to Cassie and countless of other people, to their moms, to their family members, I promise you they're going to come in. They're going to step in. Because what?
A month later, Cassie came to her and said that Diddy would give her $30K, so she took the money and signed an NDA. She said she hadn't spoke to Cassie ever since. Kerry also said that most of Cassie's friends worked for Diddy, but she was the only one who did not. And when Cassie spent time with those people, she convinced herself that the abuse was okay. Kerry said you could tell they were convincing her it was okay. They're now on a lunch break, and I will be back with more of her testimony. After lunch, Carrie Morgan finished up on the stand. They did cross-examination and redirect, and she's now officially done. When cross began, Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, asked Carrie Morgan when her and Cassie met. He asked if it was 2004, and she corrected him, saying it was 2001, and they met while they were waiting for Polaroids to be developed. Then pivoted and asked if Cassie was ever jealous of Kim Porter, to which she said yes. She said Cassie was jealous because she could never go to the New Year's Eve parties. When asked if Diddy was ever jealous, she also said yes, especially when Cassie was spending time with Michael B. Jordan. And Carrie said she believed that Cassie was trying to leave Diddy at that time. Now, this was a time when Cassie was in South Africa doing a movie with Michael B. Jordan, and Carrie talked about how she went to go visit Cassie on set. She talked about how she had learned about Diddy's relationship with Gina and how he had this full-on relationship with this little girl. When asked why she called Gina that, she said she acted like it and she was younger than us. Carrie said Cassie found out about it and she wouldn't go away. He wouldn't leave her, so it just went on for a really long time. Carrie also testified that when she went to South Africa to see Cassie, Diddy's assistant was there, who they're calling Mia, and Mia is supposed to be a witness. Carrie said she was pretty close to Cassie, close enough that she came with her to South Africa to help her out. Cassie had testified last week that this person they're calling Mia had witnessed Diddy physically abusing her. Mark Agnifilo then asked Carrie why she and Cassie stopped speaking. You could tell by his line of questioning that he was trying to paint the picture that if Cassie meant so much to Carrie, and if they had this 17-year plus friendship, why was it so easy for her to walk away and only for $30,000? Kerry said she did not support me when Sean assaulted me, and I draw the line at assault. Also gave more information about what happened that day in 2018 when Diddy hit her with a wooden hanger. Diddy's attorney asked her if she and Cassie were using substances that day, because obviously they're trying to paint the picture that that was the reason Diddy went off. He said no, Diddy was angry because he wanted to know who Cassie was cheating on him with. Now remember, this is 2018, which means it's likely her now husband, Alex Fine. Because of Diddy's alleged assault, she said she had fingerprints on her neck. She took herself to urgent care. She was so dizzy she threw up multiple times, and they told her she had a concussion from being hit in the head. Remember how she testified she met up with Cassie a month later, she signed an NDA and she got $30,000? Before I say this, I want to remind you guys that at this point, Cassie had dealt with 10 years of abuse, so we are not going to point fingers or blame her at all. Kerry said she had met with Cassie a month later at a pizza spot at a Hollywood hotel. It was the last time she had spoken to Cassie, and she said Cassie did not take her seriously. In fact, Cassie accused Kerry for over-exaggerating the situation. They have to remember, Cassie had dealt with 10 years of the most psychotic, scariest situations she's ever been put in. So I could understand her mental thought at this point. But obviously for Kerry, who had never been through it, she's like, wow, my friend is not supporting me. And that is when she ended the friendship. At one point during Cross, Diddy's attorney showed her a book, and it was Louis Hayes' Self-Help Affirmations, and asked why she sent these words of encouragement to Diddy. She said, I don't remember sending that. Diddy's attorney also tried to point out that Kerry is saying she went to urgent care, but in her interview, she said she went to the hospital. Why? Battery low.
But
Consistencies, but I don't think the jury's gonna care. Back on Redirect, they brought up Jamaica once again. When asked what exactly happened, she said he dragged Cassie by her hair down a 50-yard hallway.
damn!
Accusing her of cheating, she said no, he was mad she took too long in the bathroom. Despite everything Cassie had been through, she said there were times where she did believe Cassie and Diddy loved each other. In her own words, there were times I thought they should try to work things out. When asked why they never spoke to each other again, she said, I don't know why she doesn't reach out to me. I'm sure she doesn't have the same number anymore. Up next is David James, and he was Diddy's former assistant. So allegedly helped set up the freak offs, and I'll be back with his testimony.
Oh God!
After lunch, Carrie Morgan finished up on the stand. They did cross-examination and redirect, and she's now officially done. When cross began, Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, asked Carrie Morgan when her and Cassie met. He asked if it was 2004, and she corrected him, saying it was 2001, and they... On the stand to testify today was David James. On the stand to testify today was David James, who is Diddy's former assistant from 2007 to 2009. David said he had first applied to work for Diddy when he read about it in the New York Times that Bad Boy was looking for an assistant. He said he faxed, emailed, and even hand-delivered his resume. During the interview, he remembered someone from HR pointing to a photo of Diddy saying, "This is Mr. Combs' kingdom. We're all here to serve in it." After getting the job, he said he would put in 20 hours a day, working until 3 a.m. and often working 3 weeks straight without a break. He traveled the world with Diddy and said his job was to make every space comfortable for him. Spaces like studios, venues, green rooms, even hotel rooms where he would set up riders, which were a list of Diddy's personal requests. And he talked about how strict it was, saying that security guards like D-Rock, Uncle Polly, and Bonds told him to stay in his lane when he would ask too many questions. He talked about meeting Cassie in Miami at a party on Star Island. He said they were outside smoking when Cassie turned to him to say that this lifestyle was crazy. When he asked her, why don't you just leave? She said, I can't. Sean controls everything, my music, my apartment, my life. He said it was clear that Cassie felt like she couldn't escape. Another conversation they had was when Cassie was excited for her album to come out when they shared a cab going to the Sundance Film Festival. But he said, I don't remember that album ever coming out. He also said he once overheard Diddy comparing Cassie to Kim Porter. He said Diddy was telling someone, Kim is my queen out in LA with my family, but I've got Cassie right where I want her. She's young, she's moldable. Now that was all we heard for today. He's obviously going to continue tomorrow, and the government listed who they're going to be bringing on the witness stand tomorrow. That would be another male escort, Diddy's former personal chef, and Cassie's mother.
Oh, God.
On the stand to testify today was David James, who is Diddy's former assistant from 2000.
Okay, I'm really glad Kerry got out of that when she did and didn't stay in because of Cassie. And she probably still loves Cassie, but she just had to get out of there because I feel like if she didn't, she would have got the same treatment that Cassie did. So that was crazy. That was intense. So we got coming up. We got more from the assistant, and we got her mother coming in. Okay, let's keep it going. Damn, Diddy. Jeez. I wonder if Neo or Usher will ever testify. Usher might not. I'm not gonna hold you. We'll just have to wait and see. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy, my family.